ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। There's a beautiful verse in the Mukundamala Stotra, which will be our meditation verse for this session today. And the verse goes something like this, which I have said many times in the past, and I'll say it again today. Andhasya me hrita viveka mahadhanasya chorair prabho balibhirindriya namadheyai मोहान्धकूपकुहरे विनिपातितस्य देवेश देव मयि देहि करावलम्बम्. O Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, please extend your hand to me. Mayi dehi kara avalambam. Extend your hand to pull me out of this very deep, dark well. Moha andha kupa kuhare. Kuhare means at the very bottom of Andhakupa. And this Andhakupa, because it is deep and daunting, it is made full of darkness. And the darkness is Andha, Moha Andha, that my vision of reality has been covered by the darkness of ignorance. I have been pushed into Vinipatitasya, or I've fallen into this deep, dark well of ignorance, because those assets that I have that are meant to be illumined have become dark, or they've been stolen away. Andhasya me hrita viveka mahadhanasya. I have a great wealth, a great treasure of intelligence, discrimination, viveka, in this realized understanding I may have, but it has been stolen away. May not be realized, but it is the intelligence by which I can see things clearly has been stolen away. And who has stolen this? Chorair Prabho. Oh, there are these very strong Balibhir, Indriya Namadheya, and they're called Indriyas. And together, everything that I have that tells me about my reality as your servant has been stolen away. And so now I'm fallen in this condition. Oh, Supreme Lord, please extend your hand. That hand which the Lord extends is the spiritual master. the means by which our blindness goes away, our intelligence comes back, our senses are subdued, the mind is filled with desires of service, and intelligence is helping that mind to choose service or service mindedness over anything else that might come in the picture of what my identity otherwise is. In that spirit, Hanumanji, during this entire episode in Lanka, again and again, not once, multiple times, Valmiki Rishi will tell us that Hanuman starts whatever he starts from the top of that Toranam. Toranam is this beam that connects the rest of the Ashoka garden to its walls and ramparts. And that Toranam, because it is the connector, is an important place where the Guru is situated. And according to Govindaraja and other commentators, the Toranam is called Namaha. The word Namaha is Namaha, not me or not mine. Aham and Mama, one that is free of Aham and Mama, such a person uses the word Namaha. When we offer prayers that have Namaha in it, we say, I offer my obeisances. Literally, obeisances, when offered, not just with body, but intent with words and the mind, but the mind is the one that has the spirit of the action in it. That spirit is, I am a servant of the person I'm offering my obeisances to. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I am the servant of the Vaishnavas. Devesha Deva, oh the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, Lord Ramachandra, Lord Narayana, that Ishtadeva of your mine, I offer my obeisances. That means I am taking on this identity as your servant, not any other identity that I'm a king, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a business owner, I'm a scholar, I am a farmer, I am an administrator, I'm nobody. This is not our identity. I'm intelligent, I'm proud, I have degrees, I have money, I have great birth. None of these. I'm just your servant. And so again and again, Valmiki Rishi will tell us that that's where Hanumanji operates from. And because we are followers of Hanumanji, with the followers of Sri Guru, that is the identity with which we start looking at life. That is the identity with which we speak our words and we follow the activities of our life based on that identity. That's the crux of it. Today, Hanumanji is going to fight 7 other sons of Prahasta. Prahasta is this large hand, big hands by which he grabs and collects everything, the sense of greed, or where this aham mama is very, very strong. And these 7 sons represent something. So we'll go through the pastime. Then we'll go through with the rasa and tattva in it, with some commentary or light shining from the Srimad Bhagavatam, because most of us are more familiar with the Bhagavatam, and so it's a scripture that we are more familiar with, and the concepts align better for us that way. So that's what we will do. I sent in our WhatsApp group a link for the Sundara Kanda from Gita Press. You can read along. I will share my screen today so you can see the Sundara Kanda verses here. I won't be able to share it every time. So you please follow along next time onwards. We are in chapter 45. Now this is in Devanagari. I hope you can, I hope it helps you read. If you can't read Devanagari, I'm sure we can find English version. There are other online versions of Ramayana. The reason I'm sharing this with you is this is more authentic. The other versions have a lot of spelling mistakes. The English translations are not nice. I shouldn't say not nice. They have some discrepancies. The words are broken wrongly. The translation doesn't read well. So there are some issues with it. So I requesting you not fully rely on that yet. So let's see, share my screen. Okay. This is those of you who can't read Sanskrit, don't worry. I will explain word after word, verse after verse. If you can't read it along, just absorb the sound. Pancha Chatvarimshah Sargah. This is 45th chapter, and it is titled Mantrinaha Saptaputranam Vadaha. The killing of the 7 sons of the mantri, the minister called Prahastha. So the chapter begins, Tataste Rakshasendrena Chodita Mantrinaha Sutaha Niryayur Bhavanat Tasmat Sapta Saptarchi Varchasaha. At that time, Tataha Te Rakshasendrena Chodita, when they were inspired by or ordered by the king of the Rakshasas, Ravana, the 7 sons of the minister Prahasta left their palaces with such vigor as if the 7 personalities looked like the massive 7 fires of a yagya. Sapta Archi Varchasa. Varchasa means having the splendor of, and Archi is fire. They looked like 7 blazing fires. Fire is always very eager for taking on fuel, and nothing that comes in its way can stand because it will burn everything. That's the mentality with which they rushed towards Hanuman. Mahat Bala Parivara Dhanushmanto Mahabalaha Kritastra Astra Vidam Shreshtaha Paraspara Jayeshinaha. They were very, very strong. They were carrying strong, massive bows, Mahabalaha. Each of them was so strong that you can't compare their strength with anything. And they were carrying these powerful arrows, astra, and weapons of different kind. Shreshtaha, they were the foremost among the members of the Rakshasa army. But there was one thing about them. Paraspara Jayeshinaha. They were competing with each other. One of them was saying, I will kill Hanuman. The other said, no, not you. I will kill. A third one said, oh, me, I will do it. They were competing with each other to get to Hanuman. They were rubbing paraspara. They were shoulder to shoulder, but nudging each other or elbowing each other. No, I will do it. No, 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 I will do it. Please mute your phones. I can hear background conversations. Thank you. हेमजाला परिक्षिप्तैर् ध्वजद्भिः पताकभिः तयो तोयद तोयदस्वनिर्घोष निर्घोषैर् वाजियुक्तैर् महारथैः. Oh, they were dressed hemajala parikshiptaihi. Their armor was made of golden wires, if you will, that looked like a mesh. And their chariots had the strong banners and flags, patakabhi. And they looked like these massive rain clouds that overshadow or overcast the sky. Nirghoshair, they came like thundering, rumbling clouds. Vajiyuktai, and their great opulent chariots were drawn by powerful horses. Despite my saying someone's audio is not muted. Whoever is, please check your phones. I can hear background noises. Okay. Tapta Kanchana Chitrani Chapayan Chapayanya चापाः अन्य मितविक्रमाः अन्यम इतविक्रमाः they had golden and very beautifully decorated bows in their hands. And uh, Amita Vikramaha, they had such prowess that they were incomparable to anybody. Visparayantaha samhrashtas dvitantah samhrashtas taditvantaha ivambudaha. Visparayanta. They were shouting war cries that were so loud, and it was coming from a joyful heart that, oh, we found a match. We can really pummel Hanuman, somebody that is strong. I mean, a strong person likes a match with someone that is of equal or better. So there is a sportive enthusiasm to it. In front of Mike Tyson, if I were to stand for a boxing match, Mike won't have any fun. I mean, he doesn't even have to hit me; he has to just look at me. I'd be knocked out just like out of fear. But if there is someone who's matching his strength, then it has great vigor in it. Samhrashtat Samhashtat Taditvanta Ivambuda. So they sound their war cry sounded like the loud thunders coming from clouds. Huh? And in the background of their war cries was that all the mothers of the 80,000 kinkaras were crying in their palaces. And on the background was the cry of lamentation that their sons were killed in a moment by Hanumanji. So on that backdrop, these war cries gave them even more enthusiasm to go and fight with Hanuman. And at this time, they paraspara sangharshat. Again, Valmiki tells that they were competing with each other to go fight with Hanuman. Tapta kanchana bhushanaha. They were wearing golden clothing, or their armor was shining, resplendent like molten gold. Abhipetum Hanumantam. Abhipetum Hanumantam means they came face to face with Hanumanji, who at that time, Toranastham Avasthitam. He was standing on that beam of the doorway. That's the position from which they're coming and the position in which Hanuman is standing. And immediately, as soon as they saw Hanuman, Surjanto Banavrishtam te Ratha Garjita Niswaraha. From their chariots, they were yelling loud war cries and showered Hanuman with arrows. And showered literally like how when rain falls from a cloud, every square inch of ground is covered with raindrops. Therefore, he says, Bana Vrishtam. Vrishti means rain, not Vrishtam, Vrishtim. Srujantaha, they released Bana Vrishtim, a shower of arrows. Pavrita Kala Ivam Bodhaha Vicheryunair Vritambudaha. Just like a rain during monsoon showers the ground or the mountain top with incessant rain. Hanuman looked decorated, his entire body covered with blood looked decorated like a mountain peak that is decorated by showers of rain. However, Hanuman didn't wait a moment. He jumped from the Torana, that beam, and started fighting with them with such vigor and power that even they were stunned for a moment of how powerful Hanuman was. It was almost like they were playing with each other, or Hanuman was playing with them. However, Hanuman also, while he was fighting with them, was very loudly making or bellowing these war cries. Sa kritva ninadam ghoram trasayam stam mahachamum. Chakara Hanuman Vegam Teshu Rakshasuhu Viryavan. So Hanuman yelled out a loud cry, jumped at them, and started fighting with them, punching them. However, how they had, what did Valmiki say? That they were decorated with golden armor. They had all these fantastic weaponry with them, bows that were magnificent, studded with gold. What did Hanuman have to fight? Talena bihatan कांश्चित् पादैः कांश्चित् परन्तपः मुष्टभिश्चाहरन्तः कांश्चिच्चन्नखैः कांचित् व्यादारयत् कांश्चिच्चत् व्यादारयत् काम. So some of them, they were the 7 warriors. So some of them were, uh, he pushed them away with such force with his palms. Some he kicked with his feet. Some he punched with his fist. Some he scratched with his nails. And then he says, Brahmamatha rasaha, Brahmamatha urasa. With his formidable chest, he pushed them away. He clashed with them, like how two massive bulls would get their chest to chest, or the bulls hit their heads, but the force with which they attack each other. Kanchid, Kanchidarubhyam, Urubhyam. Some he crushed between his thighs. Kechit tasyeva nadena tatraiva patita bhuva. And some, just by his loud war cry, they just lost, they fell dead from that loud war cry. Tatasyamagatam sarvam disho dasha bhayaditam. And the rest of the armies got so scared when they saw these 7 generals who were matchless get completely finished by Hanuman. The rest of the crowd ran away in the 10 directions. Disho dashaha bhayarditam, bhaya arditam. They were completely distressed from the fear of just facing Hanuman. Vinaidur viraswaram nagaha nipetu bhuvivajinaha bhagna nida dhvaja chhatrair hushcha kirnamabhavat rathai. Hanuman completely smashed the elephants that were in the battlefield. The horses were completely killed. The banners of their chariots were completely destroyed, and everyone, the chariots were smashed to almost a pulp or powder on the battlefield. And the entire battlefield, which was ground, now looked as if it was moving. It was moving because there was a river of blood. Ranid Rudhirenath Stravantyo Darshita Pathi. The whole path looked like it was moving on a river of blood. When all of these people were so quickly killed, the chapter is short to tell us that 7 generals were finished very, very quickly. And after killing them, Satan Pravruddhan Vinihatya Rakshasan, Pravridhan. These were, when we Pravridhi means elderly, it also means very decorated. Vridha, Vardhana is to grow. So Pravridha means they were very highly decorated Rakshasas. They had all these medals and they had all these little things that they had won from Ravana after great battles. So they were very highly decorated generals of Rakshasas. Mahabalas Chanda Parakramaha Kapi. But when they faced Hanuman, they did not understand what kind of strength Hanuman has and his ability to crush them in a moment. Yuyutsur Anyer Punareva Rakshasehi. And then after finishing off all the other Rakshasas, Stadeva Veeraha, that great hero, Hanuman, Abhijagama Toranam, went back and stood on that Torana, that doorway, the beam on from where he started off. So before he went to fight the generals, he was standing on the beam. After he finished them, he came back and stood on that beam again. Beautiful. Now we'll go through what this tattva means. The 7 sons of Prahasta represent the 5 senses, mind, and intelligence combined. That's the 7. Every spiritual aspirant has a battle with these 7 because that's the whole process. We call it anartha nivriti. But anartha nivriti only begins when there is the activities of sadhana. Without activity of sadhana, one's anartha cannot go away. Sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritisya. Without sadhu sangha and bhajana kriya, there is absolutely no way anarthas will go away. There you go. Without sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anartha nivriti is not an automatic process. It doesn't mean that, oh, I got initiated or I started chanting a couple of rounds and then now any difficulty I get, that is anartha nivriti. No. If one doesn't chant with strong intention, if one doesn't chant in a mood of service, if one doesn't serve, oh man, this is very frustrating today. Everyone's okay. If the spirit of service doesn't fuel our devotional activities, that I am a servant of Sri Ramachandra, I'm a servant of Sri Krishna, if it doesn't fuel that way, that I'm engaging in the acts of bhakti as a service unto the Guru Parampara, the spiritual master, the Parampara, and Krishna, Radha and Krishna, anarthas don't go away. In fact, anarthas increase. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that as a gardener is watering the roots of a plant, he is also watering weeds. And if one doesn't pay attention, the weeds look like the garden. And one may feel that that is the garden of bhakti. It is not. The bhakti creeper is nourished by service attitude. And that is what we learn from the Guru. And when there is the service attitude, the Guru's empowerment removes these 7 impediments. The fight by the senses, or the fight against the senses, the mind and intelligence. And this Vedic truth is packed in this chapter, of course, the entire Ramayana, but in this chapter, where we hear Sreshtaha Paraspara Jayeshinaha. This is verse number 2 from what we read. Each sense, the mind, the intelligence, and the five senses, are constantly competing with each other to put us into illusion. And we all know, when we are hit by some sense gratification, it is we can't tell which of the senses actually drew us out of wherever we were in a good place. They all get around us, and they compete with each other. The intelligence, the mind, the senses, they all align. That's the order Krishna gives us. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsam. Vishayan. Next chapter is all about Vishayan. The five other persons that are killed by Hanuman are the five Vishayas, the objects of the senses. So Krishna warns us, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsam. Sangasteshu upajayate, sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodho vijayate, krodat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama, smriti vramshat, buddhinasha, buddhinasha pranashyati. Very quickly it happens. It's not a slow motion where you can, or any one of us can assess, oh, now this is happening. Oh, now that. It all happens in an instant. But that's what is going on. Sreshtaha paraspara jayeshinaha. The senses are constantly competing with each other. However, Hanuman, as Guru, helps the living entity, each one of us, Jiva, to fight from that platform of Namaha. That means without the humility that, oh, I am being tormented by my senses, mind, and intelligence. I am just taking shelter of the Supreme Lord and his representatives. One cannot fight this. And this is a fight. One may think that, oh, I just bow down to my... There is a hedonistic philosophy out there, very famous fellow, that says, just let your senses free. At some point, you will become tired of it and give up. There will be a sense of disgust from sense gratification. Rupa Goswami warns us, that is called bhogatyaga. After you get rid of it, it will come back. Sometime later, that urges will come back again. The only way is to fight them. Now, fighting doesn't have to be the way, the visual that we may have. But here, it shows how Hanuman fought them. So he gives the examples. Of the 7, there are 7 ways in which Hanuman fought them. Right? So he says, some he pushed by his palms. That's one. I think I can count the 7 here. Pushed by his palms. Some he kicked. Some he punched with his fists. Some he clawed with his fangs or nails. Some he pushed with the powerful chest that he had. Some he crushed between his thighs. And some he just loudly yelled at them in a war cry, and they all died. And one of them died. Now, Valmiki doesn't say, for this one, it was that one. For this, what he says, Kanchit, for some of them. So each of the 7 generals had their followers. So each of our senses have their extensions. The tongue has its extension. The eyes have its extension. Extension in the sense, all the followers, the kind of desires that follow this, the senses becoming stimulated. Some need to be punched, some pushed, some crushed, some clawed, some just yelled at. Get out. So The spiritual master's power helps the living entity get rid of the pushings of the urges and the mind and the intelligence. So what is the, it is clear, perhaps I'm sure each one of us can speak for an hour on what the pushings of the senses means. We can also speak on what is the pushing of the mind. Rupa Goswami tells us. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam. Manasa Vegam, we have enough material. We also have enough on what is the Vegam, the pushing of the intelligence. So the very raw base urges of the senses, the pushings of the mind are all of the insecurities, fears, lamentations, concerns, worries, the weird desires that come from the mind. Intelligence is that which strengthens those desires. It tells us the force of determination behind those desires is intelligence. Krishna goes into much detail in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita of how lust covers intelligence, the mind, and the senses. So the intelligence will tell us, yeah, that's right. Who's there for you? You're on your own. Yeah, without enough money in this world, you cannot survive. Which, by the way, it is true, you need some money, but that only money is your shelter was a problem. And that how much money, nobody can answer that question. For example, or if I have this, my life will be much better. I can chant and serve better when I have these things in place. Whatever is the range of ideas and the range of strengthening of those ideas is where the intelligence is. So these seven are not just ordinary, they are Kanchana Bhushita. They are decorated with gold. They're very glittering and attracting, but they need to be curbed. And we'll go to Rishabh Deva's instructions in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll share the screen so you can read along with me if you like. From the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And you'll see the pattern in the lessons. First, Rishabh Dev, this is from verse 4. He starts earlier. He tells his sons that one should tapodivyam, one should take on, one should live a life of spiritual cultivation, which is part of the tapasya. The tapasya that the senses are constantly calling, and one should learn to say no. Now, it is easier for said than done. I have my own demons. I have my own struggles. I have hundreds of times. I want to say no, but I've said yes. And so I'm by no way professing you. I'm just reading the words of the great acharyas and Srila Prabhupada for us. So I'm no better than, I can't even say no better than all of you are perhaps much better. I'm just reading from the verses of Rishabdev. He says, Nunam, for sure, pramattah kurute vikarma, yad indriya pritaya apranoti. Indriya pritaya, one who wants to please the senses, apranoti, he engages in the pleasing of the senses. Such person, nunam, indeed, pramattah, becomes maddened. And that maddening makes them do vikarma, those activities that are dead against the interest of or the benefit of the soul. Na sadhu manye, I don't consider it a good thing, is what Rishabdev says. That Atmano ayam deha, although this body, asan api, is just temporary, but it is the source of all the kleshas, all the distresses come from just engaging in the satisfaction of this body. Nasad, I don't consider it a good idea. Actually, it's a bad idea. Pursuing the urges of the sense. Therefore, Prabhupada in the purport says, a life, those who live for sense gratification is condemned in this verse because such consciousness leads one to dark, hellish condition. We started today's session with Mohanda Kupare, Mohanda Kuha Kupare, Mohanda Kupa Kuhare Vinipatitasya, deep, dark, hellish condition. And he tells us what those are. The four sinful activities are illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. These are the means by which one gets another material body that is full of miseries. One should perfect his life by associating with devotees. One should not become further implicated. This association with devotees begins with associating with the spiritual master. And it is the spiritual master's strength that is gifted or given to the disciple, by which the disciple can fight the senses. And therefore, the spiritual master is the Veera, Mahavira. We say Maharaja, the king, the controller of his, the Swami, one who has won over his senses. That empowerment of the spiritual master comes when the disciple engages with this Namaha mentality, the spirit of some freedom of, I am not this body. The question is, where does that come from? If I am so weak, where will I consider, how will I even consider, I am not this body? It is by giving oral reception, that's the phrase we're all used to. One should hear the words of the Guru. I was taught that there are two ways of hearing the Guru, and both are necessary. One, you should hear. When I say I was taught, it's a different thing whether I learned or not, but I was told. We should hear the words of the Guru because his words give a lesson of how one can move through life. All the new concept. Remember, the mind and intelligence. The mind is full of conceptions. Therefore, Krishna, when he's talking to Arjuna, and I'll come back to this, when Krishna is speaking to Arjuna, Guru speaking to a disciple, he even tells what is the best way to see tattva, to see reality. He says, pranipatena. He never says, prashnena. The question was, you never ask a question first. It is pranipatena. One should bow down. This bowing down means it is telling the spiritual master, I am now prepared to receive the conceptions of truth from you and displace the conceptions that I'm carrying about life. I have to replace higher order conceptions with what is existing in me. That is pranipata. And it is demonstrated by offering obeisances. That I consider myself at a lower place, I'm ready to receive. Okay, then the conception is offered. You are not this body. Because it doesn't fit well, you'll notice that Arjuna will ask a question. So then pariprashna, I have to ask, I have to clarify. What if this? What if that? How do I go about this? How do I go about that? Pariprashna, not just prashna, pariprashna, thorough questioning. And after thorough questioning, now that the conception has been offered and I've received it, it has to become my full being, not without seva, without the gratitude and offering of service to the Guru. That conception doesn't go from intelligence right into the heart. It doesn't become our nature without seva. That seva is, I take this conception, I'm faced with a situation in life, I apply that conception in a mode of service because my spiritual master has given me, and that becomes my realization. How do I know that my realization has manifested? My faith in my Guru increases. That's the symptom. I have faith. My faith is represented by my determination in following that path. So this is this verse. Next verse, if one doesn't follow, because a good teacher will say, what happens if not? Parabhavastavad abhodajatah yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam. One who doesn't inquire into Atma Tattva, the reality or the truth about oneself, Parabhava, one becomes defeated. And defeated by Abodha Jataha, the ignorance that is born out of such, or one is, yeah, whatever comes is born out of ignorance. Therefore, one is defeated. Or here, Parabhava also means misery, misery that is born out of ignorance, or defeat that comes out of ignorance, because one has not inquired. So, in any verse, when you see Yavat Tavat, there is a connection, there's a cause and effect. The Tavad Abhoda Jata Parabhava is the effect of Yavan, of one who does not inquire into Atma Tattva. Then there, the next two lines also have cause and effect. He says, Yavat Kriya Tavad idam manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. Yavat Tavad. Yavat, one who, or as long as, kriyaha, one's activities, idam manaha karmatmakam, as long as one's activities are based on this mind, or on the mental platform, that is full of karmatma, it's colored by karma. Karmatmakam means colored by karma, fruitive mentality. Tavat, for that long, sharira bandha, one is bound by a body. So as long as this mind is not cultured, cultured means atmakam, karma atmakam, one who thinks that I am just a product of, or I'm just meant to act out the desires, such a person, their mind will take them from one body to another. But we are meant to be, our atmakam is based on Guru's Vani, the sound vibration from the spiritual master. Sometimes the phrase, if you attend Hemangi's classes, she will use the phrase, Tad Atmikam with Guru. Tad Atmikam, she explained to me, means one feels a sense of oneness with the Guru. Not that I become the Guru. Oneness is, I start thinking like, I start considering life just like the Guru has taught me. I live the words of my Guru. I'm sure if you attend her session, she's going to elaborate on that, which I'd let her do. And I have one final verse, and then we'll pause. Then Rishabdev says, Evam manaha karma vasham print, and just covering a very quick gloss. Each word has meaning and purports have a lot of meanings here. But this is just to give us an idea so that I inspire each one of us to go do some self-study and introspection. Not that this is ready-made food. I'm giving you my appreciation, and these are all ingredients. Each one of us come up with your own recipe, study them, and make your wonderful dish that you can offer to your Ishtadeva. Evam manah karma vasham prayuktehe avidyayatmani upadhiyamane pritirna yavan mai vasudeve namuchyate deha yogena tavat. He gives a condition. One will not get released from the body as long as one does not have preeti, love for Vasudeva. Or try any other way. It's not going to work. Pranayama is not going to work. Yoga is not going to work. Jnana, study books, one book after another, this reference after that reference. Collect all the knowledge. If that knowledge doesn't turn to preeti, nothing is going to work. The only way that Vasudeva Preeti will come is by two things: Vaishnava Seva and Guru Shravanam. One should hear one's guru's instructions. When I say guru, not necessarily singular, people can have more than one instructors. That's fine. I'm just using the word guru as a principle, particularly the guru that's feeding us the most instructions and is helping us through life. Instructions and Vaishnava Seva. Shushushaya Shraddhadanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi Syat. There is no other way that Ruchi and Preeti will manifest. Try what I. So he says, Na muchyate deha yogena. And this is what Hanuman is teaching us by standing on the Toranam and crushing the 7 sons of Prahasta. So wow, I started a few minutes late. So I'm going to go a few minutes later. I hope you don't mind. But those who have other things to do, you have 5 minutes. And after that, if you log off, I will totally understand. You will not hurt my feelings. Some of you, if you want to stay back, I have a few extra minutes. We'll talk. Let's see if you have any questions or comments. I realized this is too much content to fit into 45 minutes. I was not able to. But this is what it is. Any questions, comments, reflections, objections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Varshana.
It was a lot of things to take in, but I think one or two things that did stick to my head was, I mentioned this to you one of our earlier meetings. Years ago, you commented to some devotee about Anartha Nivritti, and today I felt like I understood what you had said. That the bhajana kriya it has to precede Anartha Nivritti. We may undergo sufferings or we may be in certain situations, but we can consider that to be Anartha Nivritti only if that bhajana kriya happens in a mood of service.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
That is correct. I have a
Okay.
joke about it. I'll tell you a serious thing and I'll say a funny thing. Okay. The serious thing is, bhajana kriya, when we say Anartha Nivritti, most of us experience anarthas and we consider that as nivritti. Nivritti means the removal. And removal is only there when one feels that one has overcome one's anartha. Up until time, it's not nivritti, it is just anartha. Nivritti means I may not be able to give up my entire malady in one shot. That's okay. It's a gradual process. But even small successes are indicator of proper bhajana kriya. But if one is constantly defeated by one's anarthas, the solution is not to fight the anartha. Solution is in bhajana kriya. But why would one do bhajana kriya without proper sadhu sangha? There is no motivation to doing with the heart bhajana kriya without sadhu sangha. So I call it, if we don't have sadhu sangha properly, what one might think as bhajana kriya is actually bhojana kriya. It's just enjoyment. It feels good. But it may not do good.
Thank you, Prabhu. And one other thing was, I was on another call this week, and this point about how there are 7 demons and different people were dealt with differently. One devotee was sharing how they keep like they said they did an experiment where they set like a timer. When a certain pushing comes, and they said maximum that thing pushed you was about 5 minutes. So and then of course this other thing was if you keep dwelling on that pushing, then obviously you're going to succumb to it at some point in time. So those are the 2 things they suggested, and today when I heard this also from you, I thought it there's like a scriptural backing behind it. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hanuman did no sweet talking to the 7. Some he slapped, some he punched, some he pushed, some he scratched. I mean, It is, that's how one fights ignorance. You just have to take it head on. Thank you, Varsana. Anyone else? Anything?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Mm,
go ahead, Stira.
I don't know. I feel I've asked this question to you before, but then I still have the question, so I'm asking. Um, um, so we always say there is mercy. There are two factors involved. There is mercy and there is effort. And here, when we see the description, there is effort, like Hanuman is killing the demons, like you said, he's hitting them, punching them, or whatever. And then before that, you also said that the the mercy
Yeah.
has to be there. So, like, he is receiving the mercy, and by receiving the mercy, he's making an effort. So, I guess my question is, it's always difficult to mm, like you said in the previous class, that meaning to make that line, oh, am I acting from the platform of a servant of the Lord, or am I not, is one part of the difficulty. And then how much effort is the other part.
How
So
much effort
I
is
don't
the
know,
other part? What does that mean?
meaning how much effort is one to put.
Whatever is required. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mai arpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasi asamshayah. This section is that verse of Bhagavad Gita. Mam anusmara yudhya cha. Anusmara is also there, yudhya is also there. But mai arpita mano buddhi. An army cannot fight if it has no training. You just can't
Mm,
sit and party around and then suddenly war happens and they're all fighting. It's not like that. When war is not going on, they're training.
mm,
So our training for the mind and intelligence is when the war is not going on. But the question is, when is the war not going on? It is always going on. It is always going on. So it's always.
mm. Yet we also talk about over endeavor, right? And then that's like putting like too much effort, and then like burning yourself out, not knowing how much to
But we're
do.
fighting stuff here. What is the over endeavor? The stuff is being here. It's not out there.
Mm,
All the demons are here inside. So what's the over endeavor? The over endeavor is to keep collecting what the senses. Here there's no over endeavor. You want to take some time to go study from Balakanda the entire story of Vishwamitra. He is one person who's so determined. And mostly we say he's determined because he's competing with Vasishta. That's not the reason. He's not competing with Vasishta. There are verses I can show you. The moment he got defeated by Vasishta, he recognized the power of a king has no value in front of the power of a Brahmana. I want to be like that Brahmana. And on his path, every time he came to close to success, there was a challenge. But he was also very, very generous. So the whole story of Vishwamitra is such a fantastic highlight of how he went through without giving up. He was not selfish. He helped so many people. He had challenges with Menaka. He had this and that. But next time Urvashi came, he didn't fall. He just went away. So there's no over endeavor there to win over one's own senses and mind and intelligence. Over endeavor is to thinking that I have to live comfortably in this life. And whatever that comfort is always over endeavor. We can't tell what is comfortable.
mm,
Okay.
mm. Thank you.
I think Hemangi wants to say something. You can only hear her, maybe not be able to see her. Go ahead.
Uh, I think
Can you hear her? Okay, go ahead.
so. I think where Stira is coming from, because she got a similar question in our Sangam. I think and I said I'll address her, but it's been a week. I was not able to. It's nice for you to share it in this in this Sangha because she brought it up. I was addressing the point that part of our, like, there is an effort from our side, but at the same time, we have to let the Lord reveal to us. It's not just, there is we have to watch on the doership mentality that if I do this, that's how bhakti will come. If I do that, that's how. So there is this both effort, but also the grace of the Lord. And I think that was her question, like, how do you tune into that grace of the Lord? Part of that, she didn't mention here, but so if you can ask her if that's what's going on.
Stira?
Yeah, I always have this question. I don't know. It's always answered, but then maybe I forget or what. But yeah.
First of all, here he says karmatmakam, Rishabdev. Let's just focus on that. There may be other ones, but karmatmakam. Karmatmakam means taking conceptions of this world and applying to bhakti. Conceptions of this world means I do this, then I do that, then I do this, and then I do that, and I get results from it. There is a cause and effect relationship. I take that and bring it to bhakti. I offered a prayer, now Krishna will respond. I did this service, now my heart will become pure. If I speak this, that's how. There is no such cause-effect relationship. Therefore, we call the mercy of the Guru and Krishna as causeless. The demonstration of activities, the demonstration of speech, the thoughts are from our side alignments only. And every action, every speech, every thought we try as alignment. We are aligning to receive the mercy. Mercy is flowing. If you're not aligned, it doesn't flow into our heart. So the effort is not for outcomes. The effort is for connecting to grace. For example, let's take cooking example, because for me, everything is around food. My whole life revolves around eating, and that's it.
Me too.
One may, yeah, okay, that's why. Okay. So one may cook a dish and the taste will be very, very good. No doubt about it. Because you follow the recipe, clean, on time, everything is, so this is very tasty. Our job is not only to make tasty food. Our job is to be able to make it acceptable to Krishna. That is when it is prasadam. Otherwise, at that time, it is bhojana only. And what Krishna accepts is not how colorful is the sabji. It's not how tastefully it is, how proportionate it is. But if those are all a demonstration of bhakti, yes, fantastic. What can we compete with Mother Yashoda when it comes to offering food? What can we compete? What can we compete with the gopis who give freshly churned butter to Krishna? We can't stand a chance. Yet the same Krishna will eat a banana peel from Vidura or a simple dal from Shrutadeva's hut sitting on a straw mat. Sometimes even uncooked food, because it is offered with bhakti. So the effort is not in the proportion. Tasty food, even there are many cooks and chefs who can make very tasty food, but it has to have love in it. That's what we are trying to tune into. Say it differently. That's the effort. So the effort is not this effort that we do with hands, but the effort to tune into love, which requires the engagement of the senses. Pritirna yavat mahi vasudeva. Is my effort bringing a sense of preeti for the Lord and his devotees. That the direction is, yeah, that's the effort. That's well expensed or well spent effort. Otherwise, Bhagavatam says everything else is Shrama eva hi kevalam, is just unnecessary labor. Stira?
Yeah, meaning that was helpful. Like the effort is not the effort in the material sense, like we say, I have to make effort, but then the real effort to like we say, when you're chanting, you chant from the heart, meaning that chanting from the heart is the effort, not like just chanting.
Correct. Correct. Putting the heart into it is the effort, not the just that. For japa, for anything else too. And that's our struggle. I mean, let's be honest, it's a struggle. It's not so easy. For some, maybe it's easy. It's not so easy. But Krishna
And
sees, oh, that they have the intention. That's great. That's great.
and you're saying for that there is no over endeavor, meaning how much
There's no
heart
over.
we can put, there is no over endeavor.
What is the endeavor? What's the over endeavor there for the heart? There's no over endeavor. Hemang, you want to say something else, I think.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I need to go.
Oh, okay.
No. I have an
It's
appreciation.
a little louder, I think.
Okay, come closer. I have an appreciation. Can they hear?
Yeah, they can.
Okay. I have an appreciation. I was thinking how beautifully you explain Sri Guruve Namaha and Guru Tadatmika. I was just thinking, I wish everybody else was also present in this
I was all going to
session.
send them to your session. That's why.
No. I was really appreciating that aspect. Like, you said it very wonderfully. And that was the appreciation from today's session. And just a trivia, like when you were talking about the war calls of the demons, it reminded me of Burijana Prabhu's, like sharing when he was talking about the first, chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He talks about the pastime where Bhima meets Hanuman, and then he tries to lift the tail the entire pastime. So at that end of that exchange, Hanuman actually tells Bhima that at the time of war, I will come and I will carry the war cry of the Pandavas. And then, Burijan Prabhu was saying, therefore, this is when he was talking about Krishna blowing Panchajanya and, Arjuna blowing his conch and, so that verse, Prabhupada writes, there was lackluster when, the Kauravas blew their conch, but when the Pandavas blew their conch, it was thunderous. It was like, it like really shook the hearts of the Kauravas. And so he was saying that's because Hanuman was carrying that sound of their conch shells, like, the war cry of the Pandavas. And also he was present on the flag of Arjuna. So I was, smiling and laughing when you were saying these demons are calling out war cries. And I was thinking, I'm sure Hanuman is thinking it's not going to even touch him, like, in that sense, I was thinking the material vibrations that we are constantly hearing it. Somehow we feel that those vibrations are so powerful that we succumb to it and we almost feel very helpless. Almost like in Bhagavad Gita, it says that the mind, like, it almost makes you feel you're so helpless that you kind of, are drawn to doing those activities because you feel powerless. But then I'm thinking that Hanuman is representing the spiritual master. And then the Vani, the sound that's coming from his heart is actually so powerful to draw away whatever other sound vibrations that are not conducive for our Krishna consciousness.
Those great decorated demons died just from his war cry.
Yeah. So that we have to have faith that Guru's instructions have that kind of potency, That was my appreciation.
Okay, let's end. Thank you for joining us today. We went a little longer than usual. May Hanumanji be emblazoned in our hearts as that mighty, mighty armed person standing on the Torana, the beam or the archway, who's ever ready to jump in with his war cries and help us fight our inner demons, the 7 daunting, golden armored demons, the senses, the mind, and the polluted intelligence that can just go away from his war cries. And his war cry, carried by the words and instructions of our spiritual master, may enter our hearts deeply and help us also vanquish these demons. Thank you. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada.